Good evening and welcome to the Pascack Valley Regional High School District Board of Education meeting, May 20th, 2024. During this meeting, 2 opportunities are provided for citizens to make comments. In order for a citizen to make a comment, they must be physically present at the meeting. During the first opportunity, early on the agenda, comments regarding agenda items are invited. The second opportunity will occur just prior to adjournment, when residents may address general comments to the board. Persons wishing to speak must, upon being recognized, rise and state their name and town of residence. Comments shall be limited to issues. If personal remarks or discourteous statements are made, the presiding officer shall require the speaker to sit down. Mr. Usami, roll call, please.
Mrs. Varghese.
Here.
Ms. Calderon.
Here.
Mrs. Wong. Mr. Luisi.
Here.
Mrs. Martin.
Here.
Mr. Stankus.
Here.
Ms. Steffens.
Here.
Mr. Weaver.
Here.
Please rise with me for the salute to the flag and the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by mailing copies of said notice to the record, filing copies of said notice with the municipal clerks of Hillsdale, Montvale, Rivervale, and Woodcliff Lake, and publishing said notice in the record on July 21st, 2023. First, we have routine matters and our monthly reports by our students. We'll go with Olivia G. from Pascack Hills High School first.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Olivia G., and I'll be presenting the Pascack Hills Student Report for the month of May. For co-curricular item number 1, on May 3rd, the Pascack Hills community came together for the World Cultures Celebration, a day dedicated to highlighting the diverse cultures on campus and around the world. Presenting this annual event, formerly called International Day, were members of the Student Immigrant Alliance, SIA, Asian Culture Club, ACC, Latin and Hispanic Culture Club, LHCC, World Culture Club, WCC, Jewish Student Union, JSU, and Muslim Student Association, MSA. The event was a success, taking place in both courtyards and the amphitheater at Hills during designated time slots throughout the day. Each participating club showcased a wide variety of foods from their own cultures and gave out free samples to students. Some cuisines included empanadas and tacos by LHCC, various ramen styles and Asian snacks from ACC, falafel sandwiches and baked goods from JSU, European potatoes and cheese pierogi from WCC, and donuts and Chick-fil-A nuggets from SIA. The students were also immersed in several cultural activities that included henna designs, arts and crafts, games, and a photo booth. The SIA also featured a large map in the amphitheater where students and staff were able to put stickers on the places of their heritage. During this event, Hills students were also invited to watch a special performance brought by the preschoolers under the instruction of Melissa Zabo, Jane Comboy, and their high school buddies. Their songs included a French piece encapsulating the spirit of the celebration. Co-curricular item number 2. On Wednesday, May 15th, Hills hosted the spring graduation concert with incredible performances from the jazz band, chamber choir, arpeggio bros, percussion ensemble, and concert band. And for co-curricular item number 3, congratulations to the Chemistry Olympics team for winning the Platinum Crucible as the most outstanding team for the 2nd straight year at the New Jersey Chemistry Olympics on May 16th at NJIT in Newark. For athletic items, number 1, boys track set a new school record for the 4x100 relay. Congratulations to Anthony DiFiore, Jordan Morrell, Jake Bugney, and James Foley, who ran a 43.96 at Saturday's county group meet. For athletic item number 2, congratulations to boys tennis for securing a division championship with 1 game left in their divisional season. This is Hill's 4th straight division championship, and if they won at Westwood today, then the Broncos would have their 4th straight undefeated division championship as well. And for athletic item number 3, on future Bronco Day, when the softball team brought in players from the Montvale and Woodcliff Lake elementary and middle schools, they won their 7th game of the season against a Midland Park team whom they had struggled with in a preseason scrimmage. And for my joke of the day, how did the phone propose to his girlfriend? Yes, he gave her a ring. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Olivia. And next we have Madeline Gibbs for Pascack Valley High School.
Good evening. My name is Maddie Gibbs, and I will be giving the PV Student Monthly Report for May. For classroom items, item number 1, on May 15th, Mr. Sherman and 4 video production students attended the Student Production Awards of the Mid-Atlantic Emmy chapter at Temple University. PVTV was nominated for 4 Crystal Pillar Awards and won 2. PVTV won the Best High School Magazine Program for the 2nd time, and junior Jada Martinez won the Best Long-Form Project for his documentary, Bergen Encountered. Jada was also nominated for Best Editor, and the program was also nominated for Best Live Sporting Event or Game when they filmed the Pascack Valley versus Pascack Hills boys basketball game back in February. This is a monumental achievement for the video production program, and congrats to all the award winners. For item number 2, Dr. Backenheimer visited Honors Anatomy and Physiology to demonstrate intubation techniques and allow the students to try intubating a patient on their own. The Hillsdale Volunteer EMS visited all AMP classes and gave a tour of the truck, showing students the different materials they carry and the instruments they use on the job. Thank you to Dr. Backenheimer and our local EMS for the demonstrations and help. Item number 3. During the week of April 15th, Pascack Valley hosted a delegation of teachers and students from the KSYK school in Helsinki, Finland. This was the culmination of a year-long activity between KSYK and PV students in Jeff Jasper's U.S. History 1 class and Ken Sarajian's U.S. History 2 class. As a result of the relationship that Miss Arjeen Safari initiated during her Fulbright Fellowship semester in Finland, Jasper and Sarajian had Google Meet sessions beginning last June with teachers there to plan the activities. Both groups of students were grouped to produce presentations comparing and contrasting various aspects of education and life in the U.S. and Finland. To accommodate the time difference, our PV students often came to school early to engage through Google Meet, while also working collaboratively using other technologies. After the international nature of the program was concluded, select students and teachers from KYSK were able to come to the U.S. and were hosted by Safari, Jasper, and Sarajian. During their visit, they participated in various classes and clubs, including the This Week in Politics Club ran by Jasper and Sarajian, and observed after-school activities. Ms. Safari also led them on a tour of NYC from Central Park to Times Square, the UN, and Ground Zero. They also spent time interacting with staff and students at Pascack Hills. Across time zones and cultural differences, what the students discovered about each other was laughter and joy from hanging out together, and the teachers found the same joy. For co-curricular items, item number 1, the PV Band Spring Concert on May 9th was a huge success. Highlights included a performance of a concert piece, Lightning Field, that featured a visual display of PV photography artwork, as well as high-energy performances by the PV Jazz Band, who were just off their strong performance at the NJ State Jazz Finals at the end of April. In related news, the PV Panthers Band will perform at the Hillsdale Memorial Day Parade on May 27th. The Chamber Jazz Ensemble will perform at the Riverville Farmers Market on June 6th at 4 p.m., and the Symphonic Band will perform at the High Note Festival on June 7th. Item number 2. It's award seasons for PV Theater. This spring's production of High School Musical received 5 nominations from the Bergen Pack High School Musical Awards for 4 of our actors and Outstanding Scenic Design. The Lohud Metro's award has nominated us for 7 awards, including 4 of our performers, student pit musician Tim Nye on keyboard, and Outstanding Achievement in Costume and Lighting Design. Finally, our 2023 musical Chicago and our 2023 fall play Peter Wendy are nominated for 6 awards each at the Montclair State University Foxy Awards. Congratulations to all of our nominees and everyone who participated in these shows. Item number 3, Abby Comer, Lila Dolgoff, Olivia Glasser, Angelina Graham, Sarah Mostowski, Madeline Wu, Marcus Koshy, Anthony Lukai, Kevin McNamara, Tyler Miniker, Nathaniel V., and Wojtek Piotrowski helped organize and host our first STEM League Challenge on April 16th at Pascack Valley. 8 high schools attended, including Paramus, Jonathan Dayton, Passaic County Tech, Pascack Hills, Wallkill Valley, New Providence, Northern Highlands, and Bernards. The students competed in a challenge entitled Turbulent Turbines. Students had to design and fabricate a floating barge that was anchored to a water trough. The goal for the challenge was to have your turbine spin the greatest number of times in 1 minute while maintaining stability on a barge. We were also joined by 11 judges, all professional engineers, including Mr. Mark Wallace, Ms. Sarah Doherty, Ms. Leah Yu, Mrs. Laura Lambrinos, Mr. Patrick Byrne, Ms. Maria Somerville, Mr. Chris Musanti, Mr. Mark Ramirez, Ms. Shayna Bramley, Mr. Eric Westcott, Mr. Dominic Petrella, and Mr. Ishan Patel. Due to our success this year, the PV STEM League Club will be hosting another STEM League Challenge during the next school year. Lastly, our students will be competing on May 22nd at the Northern Highlands High School Final Challenge that will be held at the Ramsey Municipal Pool. For athletic items, item number 1, PV spring teams are all having remarkable seasons. As they head into state tournaments, we wish all PV athletes and teams good luck in the upcoming tournaments. For our fun fact, the final competitions for this year's Valley Cup will be on May 31st at our Valley Cup Assembly. The events include a performance from a band, a pickleball tournament, a floor hockey tournament, dance crew competitions, and musical chairs. And we look forward to culminating Valley Cup Assembly for the entire school, and good luck to all of the grades with the final Valley Cup week. And now for my joke. Why couldn't the bicycle stand up by itself? Because it was too tired. Thank you.
Thank you, Madeline. Okay, next we have to resolve the minutes from the meeting on April 29th, 2024, the regular and the executive meeting. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please, Mr. Usami.
Ms. Calderon,
Yes.
Mr. Luisi,
Yes.
Mrs. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. Stankus,
Yes.
Ms. Steffens,
Yes.
Mr. Weaver,
Abstain.
Mrs. Varghese.
Yes.
Next, we have the staff and student recognition. First, we're going to have the 2024 Terra North Jersey STEM Fair Awards. Whereas the following students from Pascack Hills High School and Pascack Valley High School took part in the 2024 Terra North Jersey STEM Fair. Ashley Diaz from Pascack Valley for the Karen Kranz Memorial Award in the engineering category, 4th place. Amanda Poliniak from Pascack Valley for the Genius Olympiad Award for Plant Science category, 2nd place. Maya Newell from Pascack Valley, the Geoscience Award. Ben Gullian from Pascack Valley for engineering category, 4th place. Oh, I apologize, I skipped over Jolie. Jolie Ross for the Geoscience Award. Sorry, Jolie. Zoe Green from Pascack Hills for the Animal Science category, 1st place. Human Genetics Award, 1st place. Wonder Women in Science Award. Olivia G. from Pascack Hills, and Suhani Mahale from Pascack Hills for the plant science category first place. Prisha Mehta from Pascack Hills and Fred Lim from Pascack Hills for the plant science category second place. The 2024 TNJS Fair is a high school student competition in all STEM fields in which students individually or in groups present a wide variety of projects. It was held in March at Keene University. There were 142 projects invited to exhibit, including 158 students. The judging carried out by professional scientists and engineers and resulted in awarding 82 of these projects. Now therefore be it resolved that the Pascack Valley Regional High School District Board of Education recognize and commend these students for their outstanding achievement. Next, we have First Team All-County Girls Bowling, whereas Hayden Hopper, a senior at Pascack Hills High School, was selected to the First Team All-County Girls Bowling. Now therefore be it resolved that the Pascack Valley Regional High School District Board of Education recognize and commend Hayden for her outstanding achievement. Next, we have All-State Treble Choir 2025 from Pascack Hills High School, whereas the following students from Pascack Hills High School were selected to the All-State Treble Choir 2025. Reina Alico, Camilla Ambrosio, Eva Friedman, and Sophia Padilla. Now therefore be it resolved that the Pascack Valley Regional High School District Board of Education recognize and commend these students for their outstanding achievement. Next, we have All-State Mixed Choir 2025 from Pascack Hills High School. Whereas the following students from Pascack Hills High School were selected to the All-State Mixed Choir 2025. Anderson Moss, Colin Berry, Caitlin Buckley, Ion Swain, Elijah Chen. Now therefore be it resolved that the Pascack Valley Regional High School District Board of Education recognize these students for their outstanding achievement. Next, we have the award for National School Communicators Day. Whereas Friday, May 10th was National School Communicators Day, which recognizes the incredibly valuable work of school public relations professionals. In our district, we are fortunate to have Paul Zeller, Director of Technology and Communications, Michelle Ramirez, Confidential Secretary for Technology, Communications, and Business Office, and our interns, Vincent Coglianesi and Andrew Welsh, who work tirelessly to ensure effective communication to students, families, staff, and our community. Now therefore be it resolved that the Pascack Valley Regional High School District Board of Education recognize Paul, Michelle, Vincent, and Andrew for their commitment to telling the story of our district and our students day in and day out, for serving as a strategic partner to district leadership, and for always working to amplify our message. Next, we have the award for 2023 to 2024 Outstanding Support Staff Member at the district offices. Whereas the Pascack Valley Regional High School District has commissioned a committee within the district to establish a selection process to choose a support staff member of the year to be recognized for the district offices and each high school. And whereas the nominating committee has selected Maria Valentino for distinguishing herself through exceptional contributions in her work efforts to the district. And now therefore be it resolved that the Pascack Valley Regional High School District Board of Education recognize the nomination of the 2023 to 2024 Outstanding Support Staff Member of the Year for the district offices, Maria Valentino, Information and Systems Coordinator. Next, we have the 2023 to 2024 Outstanding Support Staff Member at Pascack Hills High School. Now, whereas the nominating committee has selected Paul Hildum for distinguishing himself through exceptional contributions in her work efforts to the district. And now therefore be it resolved that the Pascack Valley Regional High School District Board of Education recognize the nomination of 2023-2024 Outstanding Support Staff Member of the Year for Pascack Hills High School, Paul Hildum, Special Education Paraprofessional. Next, we have the 2023 to 2024 Outstanding Support Staff Member at Pascack Valley High School. Whereas the nominating committee has selected Jamie Taylor for distinguishing herself through exceptional contributions in her work efforts to the district, and now therefore be it resolved that the Pascack Valley Regional High School District Board of Education recognize the nomination of the 2023 to 2024 Outstanding Support Staff Member of the Year for Pascack Valley High School, Jamie Taylor, Executive Secretary. Next, we have the 2023 to 2024 Teacher of the Year, Pascack Hills High School. Whereas the nominating committee has selected Corin Gamgore for distinguishing herself through exceptional contributions to her students, and now therefore be it resolved that the Pascack Valley Regional High School District Board of Education recognize the nomination of the 2023 to 2024 Teacher of the Year at Pascack Hills High School, Corin Gamgore, Business Teacher. Next, we have the 2023 to 2024 Teacher of the Year, Pascack Valley High School. Whereas the Whereas the nominating committee has selected Christopher Nielsen for distinguishing himself through exceptional contributions to his students. And now therefore be it resolved that the Pascack Valley Regional High School District Board of Education recognize the nomination of the 2023 to 2024 Teacher of the Year at Pascack Valley High School, Christopher Nielsen, Science Teacher. Next, we have the 2023 to 2024 Educational Services Professional of the Year, Pascack Hills High School. Whereas the nominating committee has selected Jennifer Zimmerman for distinguishing herself through exceptional contributions to her students, and now therefore be it resolved that the Pascack Valley Regional High School District Board of Education recognize the nomination of the 2023 to 2024 Educational Services Professional of the Year at Pascack Hills High School, Jennifer Zimmerman, Student Assistance Counselor. Next, we have the 2023 to 2024 Educational Services Professional of the Year at Pascack Valley High School. Whereas the nominating committee has selected Stephanie DeStasi for distinguishing herself through exceptional contributions to her students. Now therefore be it resolved that the Pascack Valley Regional High School District Board of Education recognize the nomination of the 2023 to 2024 Educational Services Professional of the Year at Pascack Valley High School, Stephanie DeStasi, Guidance Counselor. Next, we have the resolution of appreciation for Olivia G., Pascack Hills High School Student Board Representative. Whereas Olivia G. was selected by her classmates to be the Pascack Hills High School Student Representative to the Pascack Valley Regional High School District Board of Education, and whereas Olivia provided input from a student's point of view to the Board of Education, and whereas Olivia has completed her term as Student Representative to the Board of Education, now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Education wishes Olivia G. continued success in her education and her pursuit of other activities. We also have a resolution of appreciation for Madeline Gibbs, Pascack Valley High School Student Board Representative. Whereas for Madeline Gibbs was selected by her classmates to be the Pascack Valley High School Student Representative to the Pascack Valley Regional High School District Board of Education, and whereas Madeline provided input from a student's point of view to the Board of Education, and whereas Madeline has completed her term as Student Representative to the Board of Education, now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Education wishes Madeline Gibbs continued success in her education and her pursuit of other activities. I would like to personally thank the both of you. You've given us great jokes of the day, but more than that, you've given us great information about both schools, and we really appreciate the both of you. Thank you. Okay, next we have a presentation by Dr. Sean Strunsis. It's the Anti-Bullying Bill of Rights Self-Assessment Report 2022 to 2023. Oh, do we need to move?
Good evening, everyone. I am here this evening to share with you the results that we received from the New Jersey Department of Education pertaining to our school and district scores from the Anti-Bullying Bill of Rights HIB self-assessment from the 22-23 school year. The names of the individuals that appear on the screen before you are very much at the forefront of our efforts to rid the acts of HIB from our schools, and I would like to acknowledge and thank them for their ongoing efforts. At Pascack Valley High School, our anti-bullying specialist, Christy Rossick. At Pascack Hills, and one of our honorees tonight, Ms. Jennifer Zimmerman, and myself as the district supervisor of school counseling and district anti-bullying coordinator. Okay, we continue our efforts, okay, to rid HIB from our schools. For more than a decade now, our district has conscientiously implemented the requirements found in the Anti-Bullying Bill of Rights. During this decade plus of implementation, our schools continue to make progress in addressing harassment, intimidation, and bullying. We continue to work to improve the school climate and culture by creating and implementing programs for students, for our staff, and of course celebrating the Week of Respect, amongst many other stuff. The data on the next slide suggests the ongoing efforts in the implementation of the HIB laws. The data you see before us is from the Department of Education and was released earlier this month. What, you might be thinking, do these scores mean? And to place these scores into perspective, it's helpful to know, okay, that there are 8 core elements in each school's self-assessment with a total of 26 indicators in the core elements with a range of scores from 0 to 3. Hence, the maximum score is a 78. It's very important to note. Okay. As you can see, historically, the longitudinal data suggests that both Pascack Hills, Pascack Valley, and of course, Pascack Valley Regional High School District continues to implement, okay, and take acts of HIB very seriously. Okay. With that being said, okay, please understand these 8 core elements, what the Department of Education looks for, okay, in the self-assessment. They evaluate schools and, of course, districts on their HIB programs, training, staff instruction, infusion into the curriculum and instruction, personnel, school reporting, district reporting, and how we investigate acts of HIB. There are a total of 26 indicators with a score range of 0 to 3. Hence, the maximum score that any elementary, middle, or high school or district can receive is a 78. On that scale of 0 to 3, a 0 for any indicator indicates that the school did not meet the expectations laid out by the Department of Education. A 1 indicates that a school partially met the expectations of the state of New Jersey. A 2 means the school and/or district met the expectation, and of course a score of 3 or above indicates that the school/district exceeded the expectation. I am pleased to share at both Pascack Hills and Pascack Valley High Schools, okay, that not only did we meet, but we exceeded expectations from the Department of Education in all of these areas, with the exception of a couple, where we met the expectations. We did not exceed them, okay? So we are very proud of our ongoing efforts, and the key there is that they are ongoing, okay? With that being said, I think it's even more important to identify how we got there. What are the programs, what are the services, and what are some of the things that we are doing in our schools that achieve these scores? First and foremost, student-centered initiatives. Okay? 1, we've identified a common pattern with our incoming freshmen, that the majority of our HIB allegations are with the freshman class. So we've made a concerted effort to focus our attention with the freshman class. Okay? We have freshman class meetings during orientation activities, including our SOS, which is a Signs of Suicide program. We've introduced mindfulness in all of our freshman PE classes and have implemented SEL lessons throughout the year. Some of those there you can see in front of you. Of course, we implement the Week of Respect, and we've expanded those activities throughout the course of the year, that it's just not a 1-week program. Also, during health class, our students participated in Bergen County's Alternative to Domestic Violence workshops, which focus on healthy and harmful friendships and relationships. We have both co-curricular and extracurricular clubs, advisors, other organizations on campus, on both of our campuses, trying to emphasize inclusivity and acceptance of all of our students. And of course, we continue to provide resources to our parents and caregivers, and families to support our social interactions amongst our students. And for staff, okay, each year annually, our staff is required to complete Safe Schools training on a variety of areas, including harassment, bullying, and bias. Our Signs of Suicide curriculum trainings for the wellness counselors, and they turnkey that training to other members of the department. Myself and members of the anti-bullying specialists, at both schools have ongoing training each year under HIB. We continue to use Hipster, which is a software program that helps us monitor, the allegations of HIB year over year, and to identify hotspots and other areas of concern that should be brought to our attention. We're continuing trying to increase staff awareness of students, of at-risk and marginal students. We've made concerted efforts to connect students to their interests, their activities, opportunities, and community-based supports. And of course, our student assistance counselors and student wellness counselors have studied and implemented conflict resolution. Okay. So in short, that is the 2022-23, last school year's anti-bullying report. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Strunsis. Does any of the board have questions for Dr. Strunsis? Okay. Okay, so next we are going to move on to comments from the public. Usually at this time it would be on agenda items only, but I'm going to make an exception for this meeting as we have an executive session and it can be agenda and non-agenda items. Citizens are invited to make comments regarding agenda and non-agenda items and are limited to 3 minutes, according to the Pascack Valley Regional High School District Board of Education Policy Number 0167. Persons wishing to speak must, upon being recognized, rise, sign in, and state their name, town of residence, and which agenda item, if any, they are referencing.
Thank you. First, congratulations to the award winners, Michael Fox, Hillsdale. It's going to be a non-agenda item. Today, I sent a letter to every Board of Education member regarding the midterms and finals discussions I've had with the administration for the past 16 months. I am dismayed by Dr. Backenheimer's presentation to the public and Board of Education on April 29th. I met with Dr. Backenheimer, Ms. Graziano, and Dr. Russo on January 9th, 2024, requesting data on student averages before and after midterms. Despite follow-up emails on January 26th and February 15th, I received no response. This lack of acknowledgement and data is unprofessional and concerning to me. In his presentation, he made several points. He said, in quotes, "If the student does not do well, it will not hurt them too badly." Again, if the student does not do too well, it will not hurt them too badly, which admits that students are indeed hurt by these tests. He claimed, "We have data to support that students do not see a real major change. Yet, this data was never provided despite my requests." He mentioned a massive dive into student feedback by his team, but there is no evidence of this data or its outcomes, and no student I spoke to was ever consulted. Most glaringly, Dr. Backenheimer also stated midterms and finals would not exceed 7.5% of the total grade on his first slide of his presentation. But his slides show conflicting information, with one indicating, the next slide, only 5 to 7% of impact on the final grade. I have multiple syllabuses I could share with you in multiple areas that account for 15%, 7.5% for the midterm, 7.5% for the final of the total grade in some courses. And I'm only tip of an iceberg. I didn't really look that far. I just found a few easily. Additionally, some courses do not specify the weights of these exams on the overall grade. He suggested that because we took exams 30 to 40 years ago, they are valid assessments today. However, in math and science, supervisors use other assessments like benchmarks, linked it, testing, and NJSLA scores. So why are midterms and finals necessary? Science and math did a nice job on their presentations when it came to assessment in that regard. Dr. Backenheimer claimed colleges predominantly give midterms and finals, yet there is no data to support this. Colleges do not give tests on 5 months and 10 months worth of material like PV does. He also mentioned a feedback day at the end of the year, which seems to be ineffective for providing real feedback as the year is over. I'm asking Ms. Bellotti to pause these exams for the 2024-25 school year as they negatively impact Pascack regional students. Other competitive districts such as Bergen Academies, Ridgewood, Cresskill, Northern Valley do not administer these exams that harm GPAs, student GPAs. PV students are at a disadvantage as they are competing against these same local students for college acceptance and merit money. As Board of Education members, it is your duty to ensure the schools are acting in students' best interests. I hope you will look into this matter. I appreciate you for your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fox. Anyone else?
Good evening. My name is Jerry Doggan. I'm a parent of 2 children that have attended the Pascack Valley school system. I have never felt it necessary to speak out regarding the way the school system operates. Overall, I'm very satisfied and extremely happy with the education that my children have received. And that is a credit to all of you. Recently, this has changed regarding the subject of midterm and finals. I don't think there is anyone in this room that enjoyed taking midterms or finals. I sure didn't. But it was part of life, just the way things were, but I think that has changed. I want to share my personal experience with the board in watching my children, especially my youngest, go through the school system. I've watched him navigate his high school career in preparation for applying to and getting accepted into college. I'm extremely proud of his accomplishments as a result of his experience at PV. The past 4 years, I've watched him and his friends prepare themselves with the key elements that help them apply for college and get accepted. I really enjoy listening to them talk, and I think the majority of them have expressed the same concerns to me. They've all worried about their grades, their GPAs, their activities, their clubs, the rigor of the classes in which they take, SAT, college prep, the sports, volunteerism, and many of them holding down jobs. My son particularly took great pride in checking off all of these boxes, as did most of his classmates and friends. He worked hard in his classes, attained good grades, thus a good GPA, participating in countless clubs and school activities. Junior and senior year, he took multiple AP and honors classes, attended SAT prep courses, improved his score each and every time he took it, participated in cross-country and track, volunteered in many community and local charities, and as I said, held down a job. These are all things that he and his classmates all did. Then came the application process. Wow, I don't remember it being that challenging and that competitive. The process is brutal. Many of the students have similar in all these categories that I've mentioned, and even more so now that many schools have become test optional. So many times it comes down to GPA, just a GPA. Sometimes students are separated by 0.01, 0.02%. And that's fine if it's a level playing field. We can't control what other states or counties do, but we can control what our area does. Our children are competing against students from the surrounding districts that do not give midterms and finals. And speaking with my student, each and every year, midterms and finals would roll around. I could see how he would become anxious, and he's not that type of kid. because after midterms and finals, his grades never improved. They always stayed the same or went down. And his friends seemed to have the same experiences. Like I mentioned earlier, if it was a level playing field, that's life. Many of the surrounding towns that do not give these large, like I mentioned earlier, if it was a level playing field, that's life. Many of the surrounding towns do not give these large assessments because they've been determined not to be best practice. I come from a career in law enforcement and security where we talk about best practices. Schools also follow this mantra. Best practices are methods or techniques that generally accepted as superior because they produce superior results. I would like to believe that we here at Pascack Valley Regional School Districts follow best practices. But after a little research, we must not, because the majority of school districts surrounding us have stopped giving midterms and finals. We are putting our children at a disadvantage when they are competing against surrounding towns. Not only may it stop them from getting into the school of their dreams, it also stops them from getting scholarships and merit money. A few points because of the GPA. I just think that we have to give our kids the tools to succeed in life and be able to compete against surrounding towns. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dorgan. Would you mind writing down your town?
Oh, I'm sorry, Hillsdale.
Now your name and town?
Gerard Doggan,
Okay.
Write it down on the paper, please, Mr. Dorgan.
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Anyone else who would like to make comments? Okay. Okay, so we are done with comments from the public. Thank you for your comments. Next, we are going to enter into executive session, which will take approximately an hour to an hour and a half. Board member interviews. Can I get a motion to enter into executive session?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we are in executive session. Can I get a motion to elect the interim Board of Education member from Rivervale?
So moved. Second.
Yeah. Motion to elect, I need a motion to elect Katie Keller to the Board of Education spot in Rivervale, please.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please, Mr. Usami.
Ms. Calderon,
Yes.
Mrs. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. Stankus,
Yes.
Ms. Steffens,
Yes.
Mr. Weaver,
Yes.
Mrs. Varghese.
Yes. Next, we have policy. We have 4 consent agenda items. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Any discussion? Roll call, please, Mr. Usami.
Ms. Calderon,
Yes.
Mrs. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. Stankus,
Yes.
Ms. Steffens,
Yes.
Mr. Weaver,
Yes on 1, abstain 2, 3, and 4.
Mrs. Varghese.
Yes. Next, we have education, for which we have 2 consent agenda items. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call, please, Mr. Usami.
Ms. Calderon,
Yes.
Mrs. Martin. Yes. Mr. Stankus.
Yes.
Ms. Steffens,
Yes.
Mr. Weaver,
Yes.
Mrs. Varghese.
Yes. Next, we have human resources, for which we have 12 consent agenda items. 13? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see the supplement. 13 agenda items. Can I get a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call, please, Mr. Usami.
Ms. Calderon,
Yes.
Mrs. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. Stankus.
Yes.
Ms. Steffens.
Yes.
Mr. Weaver,
Yes.
Mrs. Varghese.
Yes. For finance, we have 28 consent agenda items. Can I get a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please, Mr. Usami.
Ms. Calderon,
Yes.
Mrs. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. Stankus,
Yes.
Ms. Steffens,
Yes.
Mr. Weaver,
Yes.
Mrs. Varghese.
Yes. Next, we have old business.
Yes, please. I share concerns with the midterm and final testing for some of the same reasons that Mr. Fox and Mr. Dargan brought up this evening. I would be very interested to see if there is an uptick in the wellness visits at this point of the year. From what I'm hearing, they're pretty packed, as is the need for all this additional tutoring, which I think is aligned to the fact that these kids have a lot of anxiety with the midterm and finals. So it is something I would like to take a look closer at. And I do think they make a very good argument that never again, even in their college, will they be asked to memorize things from 10 months of material. So, semester course is over in less than half that time. So I really would like to know what we're using the data. I think it's gotten a lot better over the last 3 years. I do think that they're preparing the kids better, because I know when my son went here, they had, if they were lucky, they had review packets. They wouldn't give him answer keys, and it was on your own, so he didn't even know if he was studying the wrong thing. So I do think we've come a long way. I just don't know if we are moving in this direction just because it's what we've done in the past. So it is something I'd like to look at, and I really want to look at it from a wellness perspective as well.
I would like to say something in relation to that. I think that I agree with you 100%. I'd like to see more data regarding this. I also like the fact that, so it was mentioned, finals, midterms. I think the midterm assessment, I'd like to see the difference between the both, because the midterm assessment, you're kind of, midterm, where are we? Maybe that assessment versus the final, where that additional, stress, just the difference between the two exams, I think would be beneficial to examine.
I'd like to voice my opinion on it as well. Midterms and finals, I think, are important. As an AP instructor, you have an exam which summarizes the entire course. That's the equivalent of a college course, and that is almost an entire year. So those final exams or AP exams are vitally important. They do mimic what is happening in colleges, and recently they are returning to standardized tests for SAT, ACT. Colleges are returning to that as a measurement. So I would like to see midterms and finals in there. I think they're necessary, but I think we can realistically look at the weight of those, the impact of those, but I think to abandon those would put our students at a disadvantage. I know my children have benefited from midterms and finals because it has mimicked some of their college experiences where they have to study for long-term studies. So, again, I don't think we have to go all or one. I don't think we have to abandon, and I don't think a final should be like 30% of somebody's grade. That's, is somewhere it has to be mitigated, somewhere it has to be realistic, somewhere the impact can be minimal and yet still supply our students with the experiences that they need in long-term studying and how to do that.
If I could just offer some thoughts on that topic. I think some of what we heard this evening, I would like to know kind of accuracy and how that lines up, because if we're saying one thing and in reality there are other things happening, I would hope that we're being consistent in our messaging and our practices across all grade levels and departments and buildings. I think one of the things that I'm hearing too, it's not just about the fact that it's a final. It's the fact of how things are scheduled and the crush of them at one time. And I think that's a separate conversation, because I hear that also throughout the course of the year, and I see it with my own kids, like having 3 exams on one day, having multiple assessments within a very small window of time. And when you look at how we've come out of COVID, and to Ms. Martin's point, the wellness perspective, just how can we as a district maybe do a better job of communicating and scheduling assessments so that students aren't bombarded, because when you are bombarded and you're feeling overwhelmed, that's what creates that stress. And I think it goes hand in hand with midterms and finals, because you're saying you're going to have all of these assessments now at one time. But I think the reality is that also exists throughout the course of the school year when you speak with parents and students. They have those waves. And so I think that's hopefully an area that we can look at as well.
And I think that when we use assessments as educators to inform instruction and to maybe tweak what we're doing and give kids additional, like I know they do in the math departments, give them additional opportunities to learn from the areas that they're not so strong in, that's one thing. But when you have 50% of your kids failing an exam and then have this huge curve, and it's happening year after year after year, I really question that we're tweaking what we're teaching or the way we're teaching it so that the majority of the kids are finding success in the class, that we're not using these curves to just push them through. So that's where I get concerned. If we're going to do these big stake tests, then most of the kids should be successful in those tests.
I agree with your point. I think that it shouldn't just be about the names of a test either. It shouldn't just be, oh, it's a midterm, it's a final, so it creates a stress. It should be, hey, we're teaching something and we're assessing the students on what was taught. And then afterwards, okay, look, this is what the test results as a whole showed. If there's such a curve on a lot of these tests, well, then where's the issue? Is it that the kids are just not understanding the way it's being taught, or is it that perhaps, the teacher didn't connect with the students? Whatever the case might be, I think we need to do a deeper dive into that, and I do think getting the data is what's going to help us do that.
I'm just going to say again, the College Board, as far as the AP exam is concerned, I think they do it the right way, and I'm wondering whether following a certain pattern here. For instance, in the very beginning of an AP course, you are presented with a sample exam. Well, some students are, some courses do, give a sample exam so they know exactly what they're heading towards. They also have a breakdown of how much is weighted in each area. So all these things could help facilitate and take the stress off as the student is going through the year. They're anticipating that final and the areas that they're going to need to hit as they get towards that final exam. See, that's the idea of a final. A final isn't just, let's cram the night before. But I think we've learned that through the years of just natural practice, that everybody, oh, it's finals week. No, it's not finals week. That should have been given to you at the beginning of the course, and as we've gone through, step by step, I say, okay, this is where you're going to see something later on when we get to this final. So there's a whole learning process on how to do this in a way that I think would be beneficial, less stressful, and still provide that necessary experience for them.
I also think there's a trap we fall into sometimes where we say, because I worked at the college level, well, we need to do these things to prepare them for college. College is another game that is nothing like high school. I mean, so I think in some ways we think we're doing things to prepare them for college, that the reality is those things don't exist in college. So it's again, having that understanding of what the expectations are at the next level, and sometimes we're too quick to say, well, we're trying to prepare them for the next thing, but they're not at the next thing yet. They're still in high school, right? Well, in elementary school, we're preparing them for middle school, but they're still in elementary school. Middle school, we're preparing them for high school, but they're still middle schoolers. So, like, yes, we're preparing them, but we still have to be mindful of where they are developmentally.
I agree with you, Mike, and I also agree, like, and, we went to college, and we know, you weren't in school for 8 hours during the day, so you were able to study for midterms, you're able to study for finals, and devote more time, so it's just a different set of circumstances, and I know you teach AP, and that's different. I feel like that's different. That's not honors or regular CP classes. We're dealing with a different. I feel like that maybe is, that's a different, that's mimicking college, so that's different. So I think we're talking about two different things possibly.
This is something that we have been looking into and will continue to look into, so we'll provide some updates. The next meeting, we're going to give an update on the departmental metrics that are being used. Finals and midterms will be a portion of that. Once we have the data from the final exams, we'll have a report to provide and share with all of you as well. So thank you.
Not to add more pressure,
yeah.
but could we get information on wellness visits, absences? Because I think that some kids are getting themselves sick and staying home, or they're feeling like they're going to have to stay home to prep for them. So I would like to see, if possible, like what's going on with our wellness centers, what's going on with visits to their case managers, to their guidance counselors. I feel like this time of year, those people are getting ambushed by kids that are falling apart.
And I'll admit it, my kids ask me to go to school late because they feel like they need to study. Let them go to school late.
Is this something that is definitely it's happening this year still for finals?
Yes.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we're not considering.
No,
Okay.
not at this
Okay,
point.
I just,
We did make a lot of adjustments from last year to this year and from the year before to last year. So the final exam schedule that is happening in June for this year is adjusted from where it was last year, trying to meet the feedback we got from students and from staff, and looking critically at, how are we using assessment? So that's a continuing conversation.
And it's earlier this year, so that, I'm sorry. And my understanding is that the finals, or the diagnostic end of the year, whatever we're going to call them, are happening earlier, so there is an opportunity for children to review their finals?
So, yes, slightly. So it's not as early as it may be. It's not as early as we may see it be in the future, but we're like kind of slowly adding up to that. So there's a little bit more time for some review. We have a full feedback day built in. And then also looking at how we restructured the extra help. Because one of the things that has come up is there an opportunity for the teachers to help the students with that executive functioning and to try to build some of that in to give that as an opportunity? Because don't forget too that the final exam period really is only, the only classes that are participating in that final exam period are science and math. Even though the other classes are giving end of the year assessments, it's a different format. So kind of looking also at how do we balance that.
And I would love to see the data after finals, just because I think science and math can be really intimidating for kids. It's just one of these things that's usually one of those two subjects that, oh, this is so hard. So I'd love to see the data on that to really make some more data-driven decisions. Anyone else? Any other?
So just in terms of old business, I had a couple things, but in the interest of time, I'll share with administration specific to theater, Hill's softball field, and the climate survey. The only other piece that I wanted to offer is I'd like to both thank and express my disappointment that PV Athletic Director, Mr. Spafford, will be leaving us. I know in some of my volunteer work that he is one of the most respected ADs in the county and the state. And based on what I've heard from a number of members of our communities, it's an unfortunate loss for the district. So I'd like to thank Mr. Spafford and wish him the best of luck in his future endeavors. Thank you.
Anyone else?
one more thing. I know we had talked about course evaluations last meeting, and I know that we mentioned that that this is something that we're looking into, and that it would be
Optional?
optional, thank you. So I was just wondering if we can consider making that mandatory.
So the thought after that conversation at the last board meeting, Dr. Beckenheimer talked to the supervisors about what that could potentially look like. And the thought was to still give teachers that autonomy to be able to think about how they want to get that feedback and to provide a sample so that there is a scaffold for that. It's something that we haven't really collected before. For me, I think I would love to be able to see a highlight reel of student comments, anonymous, that highlight their favorite part of the year, or their takeaway, their biggest takeaway, their biggest aha moment. All of those things I think would be wonderful ways for us to be able to highlight student learning in the district. We're not looking at making that mandatory right now. We're looking at making that optional, still leaving it to teacher and departmental discretion, but with the idea that this could really be valuable and could be something that could help us highlight the great work that's being done in both buildings while getting some of that direct feedback. But I appreciate that.
I do agree with Deb in the sense that I do think that, if we were a different entity, we'd be looking for customer feedback. And who are our customers? Our customers are the students, and they're the ones who have obviously are directly impacted by, teachers. And I think it is a great idea to consider that, because I think we always have, I always say this, we always have room for improvement. So I do want to second that motion that we think a little more strongly into having mandatory course evaluation. So just want to second that thought. Any other old business? Any new business?
I have one quick item for new business. I just want to let everyone know that the New Jersey School Boards Association workshop will begin in October 21st through the 24th. I put something in the briefing. I'll just keep that in there. If you're interested in going, please let me know by, I can't remember the date, but I think I gave it sometime mid-September. I need to know about how many nights you want to stay, and then I can register you for the conference as well as a hotel room.
Thank you, Mr. Usami. And as someone who went last year, I would encourage people to go because I think it's great. Okay, so I think we just need a motion to adjourn.
We have comments from the public.
No. Oh, do we have, okay. So I apologize. We have comments from the public, and anyone wishing to speak must, upon being recognized, rise, sign in, state your name and town of residence. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Debbie Horn. I live in Bloomfield, New Jersey, so I'm not a resident, but I'm the current president of the Pascack Valley Regional Education Association, the teachers union. And after 8 years of president of the PVREA, I am stepping down, so I'm here tonight to introduce you to Maria Henriksen, our soon-to-be president of PVREA, and Matt Will, our soon-to-be vice president at PV, and they are fantastic and amazing, as many of you already know. So that was my main purpose, and if you'll indulge me, I want to just express some gratitude. I have served through some of the most tumultuous years in the district. I've seen 3 superintendents, a total change in building administration, a pandemic, and a divisive mascot change. And every single day of that, I've been proud to work at Pascack Valley Regional and to represent our teachers. I've heard horror stories from districts near and far, and have always counted myself lucky to be part of this one. And the reason is simple. Through it all, we treat each other with dignity and respect. When other districts were calling lawyers, we were having conversations. When other presidents were bad-mouthing boards, I was praising this one. And the mutual trust and respect between the board and the superintendent and the teachers, I think, is one of the hallmarks of this district. And it took me a while to sort of realize that and to say, like, what makes us different than all other districts, and I think I've identified a few things that somehow, without even saying them, are the way we operate it. So since I figured it out, I figured I'd share it. First, go to the source. If there's a problem, speak directly to the person who can fix it. And I think by going directly to the person, it just cuts out a lot of stress for other people. You don't always need the peanut gallery. Second, try not to criticize people, and try not to go over their heads. Going to the source usually solves the problem and prevents the need to, again, bring in other people. And lastly, and I saw this, I don't know if any of you saw the John Adams miniseries years ago. I'm a history teacher, so I love that. And so this was Ben Franklin's advice to John Adams, which is never criticize someone in public. Bad-mouthing people breeds negativity and distrust, and never blindside someone. Even during the pandemic, when I had to, sometimes speak to the board, I don't know if you guys know this, I always told Eric what I was saying before I said it, because I always wanted him to have time to think about it. And sometimes we would have conversations and I would change what I wanted to say. So, just avoid making people angry. So I want to say I've been lucky to work with such a strong and thoughtful administration and school board that shares my understanding on how to work together. We know mutual admiration and respect creates the best environment for our students. And I really enjoyed hearing your conversation about exams tonight. That was, it was interesting to hear a different perspective. So thank you. I'm very happy that Maria and Matt will be taking over, and Maria, this leadership position. There's no one better for this job, and I'm excited to see what happens next. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your service. Anyone else for comments? Okay. So now I think we can do the motion to adjourn. Can I get a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
We are adjourned.